What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Cole, and as the resident Golden State Warriors fan of this variety adventure that is the Hoops Variety Hour YouTube channel, it is, I think, my solemn duty to talk about something that all Warriors fans are currently quite excited about, and that would be the breakout preseason of Jordan Poole. And before we get more into it, I want to preface this by saying, of course, it is just preseason. I do not expect Jordan Poole to be out there averaging 30 points, though is 20 points that unrealistic? We'll get into it. I believe he scored 30 points, 24 points, and then 28 points in 3 preseason games. So clearly this is a pattern. This is not just a one-off thing. He's shooting like 50% from 3. He's dicing through the defenses with some nice dribble moves. I believe he absolutely destroyed Kent Bazemore's ankles last night in the Lakers game, which was very satisfying as someone who was a little salty about Kent Bazemore all last year, and then he left us for the Lakers, so good riddance. And for the people just saying, it's preseason and nothing matters and we're overreacting, you're right. You're right. I'm not going to deny that. But let's look at the last preseason that Jordan Poole was in, where he averaged 8.6 points on very mediocre efficiency. And to be honest, what I like about this preseason performance is that he was already trending in this direction towards the end of the last regular season, where we needed him to step up and start hitting more shots. And he did. But now he has a much more increased role on the offense because he is clearly the second best ball handler. And as I'll talk about later, he's clearly been modeling his game more towards Steph Curry with his off-ball movement and his relocations and his sort of his high pick and rolls with people like Draymond or Looney or now Otto Porter Jr., which is going to be a fun duo off the bench when Klay comes back. I'm just saying. My first impression of Poole when we first drafted him was that he was just going to be this spot-up shooter, but then he couldn't shoot, and he also was just awful on defense. So I didn't have very high hopes for him. I thought he was just going to be kind of on a revolving door, because Klay is coming back, and clearly he it's just an ACL tear, so he's just going to come back and not tear his Achilles. But then he did. And then Jordan Poole got a lot more playing time, so I had to look at him a little more critically. But even then, I was more excited about Wiseman because, he's our big second pick, or our second overall pick, I should say. And even this year, even though I know Jordan Poole was good, I was more excited about Moody and Kuminga when we drafted them, which now seems kind of silly. Even though I think all 3 of those guys still have a chance to be really good and can contribute to us, I think something that I really took for granted about Jordan Poole is that he was always showing flashes of his great ball handling, his vision, passing, and feathery finishes. But he never had long enough stretches or efficient enough stretches to make it seem like it was a real thing. It just kind of seemed, I thought he was just going to play for a couple of garbage teams like the Pistons, put up some, good numbers, inefficient, over a couple years, and then very quietly leave the league, a la Jacob Evans, who we also had and I was excited for, and then I got burned by. But what I like about the roadmap that Jordan Poole has set up is that now we know that the Santa Cruz Warriors G League team is a very clear avenue to develop our young talent. Per Kerr's comments, even, he talked about this in an interview. One of the things that I'm excited about this year is to see a stretch especially at the beginning of the season, where we send Moody, Kuminga, and Wiseman to the G League together to have them build their chemistry and get reps in while we prioritize minutes for our veterans. And then how many minutes they get when they come back can all depend on how comfortable they look, how much they've developed in the G League, how much they've learned our playbook. But getting back to Jordan Poole, he has been, by all accounts, the biggest, hardest worker on the team. Everyone just says that he's the biggest gym rat. He's clearly gotten bulked up every single season, which, it took Curry 10 years to do that. Jordan Poole has done it in his first 2 seasons. which is something to be excited about, especially on the defensive end. That's one of the things that Steve Kerr has challenged him to do, because we all know that he's going to be an impactful offensive player. We really need him to be guarding the best perimeter player on the other team, which is actually the thing I'm the most nervous about, because currently I would still say Curry is the better defender. So I'm a little worried that that when we play a team like the Blazers, which we already saw in the preseason, players like CJ McCollum and Dame are going to slice up our defense. But I think in terms of our core, like our defensive core with Draymond, Wiggins, and I would throw Looney in there too, because I don't think Wiseman will be starting for a while. And Looney is great on defense. I think we're going to be fine. I just think it's going to get a lot better when we get Clay back. And I think until then, our 15th man on the roster needs to prioritize defense. So someone like Avery Bradley, or my preference, which would be Gary Payton III, because I think he's a little better on offense and a little better as a backup ball handler. But yeah, I'm just excited. I think my initial impressions of Jordan Poole were a little jaded. And I think that if you look closely, you could see that every single year he was getting better, and he was on this constant upward trajectory that was fueled by hard work. And since he has that serious desire to get better, I think the way his offensive game is shaping up, I don't think he has, I don't think he really has a limit on his game. The way he's looking and the way he has been looking, and all the different finishes he has, floaters, tough finishes inside, step back threes, off the high screen, three, catch and shoot. He can just do everything on our team, and he's been playing, even though he's young, he's been playing with our team for 3 years now. So he knows our system. He's been learning from Curry, who better to learn from than someone with a similar body type, pretty much the same height, and, same overall game. It's exciting, and I'm excited. We'll see how it goes. Could he be an all-star this year? I don't know. Off the top of my head, like, what guards are there? Westbrook, Donovan Mitchell, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, De'Aaron Fox, John Morant, Luka Doncic, Damian Lillard. Okay. Maybe not an all-star. Maybe if like 3 of those guys get injured. Maybe.